Okay, it is 9:41 a.m. and I have not traded anything. I do feel a bit salty that I did miss out on AABB, which out of all the craziness that it did yesterday, today it ended up just doing a normal morning panic bounce play. It even did a turnaround at 9:34 a.m. In theory, I could have been in at 13, but I just really wasn't expecting it to just do a normal morning panic bounce play, but it's exactly what it did. And now it's in the 14s above VWAP, which is nice. If it comes back and maybe does like a higher low, lower low, a double bottom, I'll be interested in that. And I am considering trading more size too. I think I might try making my minimum a $10 risk level, but my regular size maybe a $15 risk level. I'm still thinking about that, but I do want to trade larger. There's nothing else that I'm really interested in. Not as nice as AABB right now. I'll continue to watch it, but yeah, this just had a regular morning panic bounce play so far. Okay, today might be a day that I don't trade anything, but if I do trade something, it probably won't be the best setup, but I thought this was really interesting with MULN. A lot of people are just trying to short this thing because of the way that it's been uptrending and they just think it's a pump or whatever. And a similar one is PIK, and this one is downtrending. As you can see, it had like this range that it was trying to hold off and not break at this 550 level, and it broke it eventually, and now it's in the 470s. And that was probably the same idea a lot of people had with MULN, in that they really wanted this thing to break the 280s, and it did not do it. And that probably frustrates a lot of short sellers because PIK, a very similar example, is downtrending, but this one did not, at least not right now. I actually had an interest in considering a buy position in the 280s when it was downtrending, but I didn't want to just, okay, yeah, I think it's going to hold the bottom and, now it's going to do the thing, right? It's going to hold the bottom and it's going to uptrend like crazy. I didn't like it that much, but I did see that it was following a trend line right here, so I drew it off of this candle and this candle. I just try to make the line follow the top of these candles. And the idea was is that maybe I'm not going to consider it for a dip buy, at the bottom because it might just break it ultimately. It's not like the short sellers are wrong, maybe on their timing, but this thing is probably going to head back down at some point, maybe not, but in most cases it will, just like PIK. And the idea was is that maybe if it breaks the trend line, it can then be something that I can consider for a long. And I just hesitated because this isn't really my kind of setup, and it did do it. It even got past VWAP and it got to the 320s, and I feel like this frustrated a lot of shorts who were short this thing and they saw it head near the lows, the 280s. That would have been ideal for it to break under, and it just didn't do it here, so they got frustrated and they started covering. And then the dip buyers who have more experience with this type of thing on listed stocks, decided to jump in as well, and they did this nice move from the 280s to almost 320. So that was pretty cool. If I was in and I just got out, I wouldn't have made that much. I would have made like I would have made like 12 bucks. I guess I'm not sure exactly what that was, but now it's trying to head back down. But that would have been a nice like just buy and sell just based off of that idea. I'll keep watching it. As for AABB, in theory, I could have been at this 1435 level when it dropped towards VWAP and held it, but I hesitated because I didn't want it to maybe just break under it and then play off of a range below VWAP, but it did turn around, but there's nothing really that nice. Yeah. I'll make an update later, but that was a pretty cool setup that would have worked out if I were to have traded it with MULN. Okay, it is 10:20 a.m. and I had a really speculative trade with MULN. I only traded 10 shares because I just wanted to see if the setup would work. It wasn't because I'm trying to, trade a proper $5 risk level for listed stocks. I just wanted to see if it would work. I, didn't have the best day yesterday. I did good in that, I was profitable, sure, but I didn't really nail a setup that I was trying to get with AABB the other day. And I didn't want to just trade a speculative list a stock here with a $5 risk level, and then it doesn't work out because it's something I'm less familiar with. I feel like something that I'm more likely to lose money on, and then just lose yesterday over something dumb like that. So I just wanted to trade a really speculative position just to be a part of it and to see if it would work. And why was I in it? So again, it had a downtrend under VWAP right here. It didn't break this important 280 level, and then that caused that really nice run up, and I was interested in buying it. I just hesitated, but it really worked out here. And this is something that I would have actually have considered a $5 risk level because it was a more ideal level right here at the lows again of the range that it's been trading in the 280s right here. So it did make that move towards the upside and went above VWAP, and then it came back and it just went under it just a little bit. So it's almost like a higher low. This is a higher low in theory off of this level. Now it might downtrend and break it later, but at this point that was what it was looking like, and I got in at 10.16 right when it looked like it was actually going to break out, and I was in at $3, which was right here. The level 2 made it look like it was really going to make a move towards the upside, and I can't really explain how, or just other than the fact that you can see right here I was in at 10.16. It just really looks like it was going to turn around, even though I bought it on like a wick right here, but it just looked like it was going to really do it, and it did. It did initially, and I saw this uptrending candle, which I thought was great because it broke out of this $3.03 range. So ideally that could mean that it could cause like a nice move towards the upside, more momentum, maybe shorts covering their positions because they're getting pissed off or whatever. At 10.19, I got out at 3.05. Maybe not the best sell. It was at the bottom of the range right here at 10.19. And why did I get out? Because I drew a trend line from the first candle that was able to hold to the first candle that was uptrending. It did get as high as 309. And then this one, very similar to AABB yesterday with the morning panic bounce play, just broke it after the second green candle. So I cut my trade, and now maybe it can base off of this range and then continue the uptrend, but I feel like that's going to be a lot harder. I knew it wasn't going to be as nice as this move towards the upside, but I would have liked it if it were to have spiked more and held the trend line much longer. That would have been more ideal. It could try to turn around at this point, either direction. It might even head down, but I wanted the predictable spike. It didn't do it that much. It just had these two green candles. It wasn't like this, which would have been super cool. I guess in theory, let's just draw a trend line and see how that would have been. I would have said maybe between this one and this one because this was a consolidation candle. Let's just say off of that one. Right? The corner of that one to corner of that one. Yeah, it would have been just right under it. Maybe it would have not have even have sold that well, but I don't know. I feel like I would have done it off of the first candle here that was uptrending to the second one, and that would have made it super wide. At that point, I might have just considered selling at VWAP. Who knows? Hindsight is 20/20, but I did have the idea that this could be a higher low off of this. Again, just a tiny size, just to prove a point. It was a $30 position. And it can go either direction now. I just felt like this was predictable. As for AABB, it did do a dip under VWAP, but I would have liked it if it got much closer and if it was quicker too and didn't do any of those things. Maybe if I was looking at PIK more, I might have considered a reversal. I think I did see it when it broke here and I lost interest, but it did turn around quickly. Yeah, I mean, that would have been the setup right there, but that's already done. Yeah, now it's downtrending. I felt like it could do something like that, but I knew it could at least try to uptrend. In theory, a higher low off of here. I'll make an update to see what MULN does. I do have an interest in shorting it if it does something super predictable, but I probably won't be able to short it just because it's not right now at a point where I would be just really interested in it, but I can't reserve 100 shares and short. It only costs 50 cents at trade zero to reserve 100 shares of short. Okay, let's take a look at AABB. I just sold my 1,000 shares at 134. I'm right here, and my entry was at 303, which is not here anymore, but I liked it because, it downtraded and it played off of the 13 level. It was totally downtrend. If you look at this, 15-minute chart, it looks exaggerated the way it just came all the way down here, then all the way back up, and then all the way back. It just seemed like a ball, like a bouncing ball, right? And I just took a really quick sell with this because I knew this thing wasn't, at the best time period. And I was just worried that, it might not have as much momentum than maybe something like this earlier in the day, or if it happened at a earlier time period, it just felt like I just wanted to be really speculative with it. And I didn't trade according to my dollar risk level. Honestly, I knew, okay, like the worst case scenario, I'm in at 1036 right here at this 1303 level. Worst case, some bad breadprints go through and now it's starting to hit 13 and it might break under 13 and I get out and I lose like $1 because I did have my limit at 13.1. And, in theory, this would have been something where I should have went 10,000 shares and then I would be up like $40, right? But I don't know. I just felt like that was too much. Maybe I could have traded a little larger here. I just felt like it was too much. Worst case scenario, it were to have started to have really have gotten to that 13 level, and I didn't get filled on the way down. It breaks 13, and worst case scenario, I'm out at 12.6, which would then be a $5 risk level. So I guess I should have traded 2,000 shares. Maybe not 10,000 shares and it's like all in or nothing here, holding 13 or nothing. Maybe I should have traded 2,000 shares because then if it were to have done that where, it breaks the 13.1 level and it starts to look like it's going to break 13. As you can see, there's a lot of, it was something like this. A lot of people at 13 and there was people at 13.1. And, the idea would have been, again, that it breaks 13. I wasn't able to get out 13. I'm out at worst case 12.6 because it'll try to hold this 12.6 level more likely than not on the panic. And then I would be out. And that would be a $10 loss with 2,000 shares. So I probably should have traded twice as much shares as I did here. But again, I drew a trend line from the first candle to this one right here. I guess it varies on whether I consider the candle that was holding to the first one that's uptrending to the first one and the second one that was uptrending, but I did draw the trend line based off of that and I got out at 10, not 10, 13.4, 10.38 right here. It did get as high as 13.6. I didn't see the downtrend. I was, recording this video right here, but I would have been interested in seeing if maybe like a big seller showed up. I guess I'll find out when I'm rewatching this, and I hope you guys can maybe try to see what caused this thing to turn around. If it was just a lot of people hitting the bid with a lot of size, or some large seller showed up and it scared a lot of people into dumping their shares at the bid. But that was a really speculative trade. Yeah, I just didn't feel ready to trade 10,000 shares here, even though it kind of worked. But 2,000 would have been fine playing off of this level. That would have given me more reason to trade larger. So I probably made, I don't know, like $4. Nothing huge. Maybe like 370. And then I'm up 50 pennies here with MULN. And as for that one, it is downtrending. It did do like a double bottom attempt here that failed. I wanted to trade this. I would have liked a higher low, here and here, and a higher low, not a double bottom, because it isn't like a stock with a lot of good things going for it. I kind of see a trend line here that could play out. Maybe I'm going crazy with these lines, like a freaking crazy dude with a whole bunch of like crazy things, but maybe if it breaks it, it could do a reversal, but Now this is just like not really ideal setups. This is just playing around with technicals. I'll make an update later to see what both of these do, but yeah, that's about it. No interest in the other ones, although PIK is trying to do a reversal even further from this level, so that's pretty cool. Okay, it is 5:26 p.m. and I am here to call it off. I am up today $4.20 trading AABB and also trading MULN. In theory, I should be up more. I should have had 2,000 shares instead of 1,000 shares with AABB with a $10 risk level. And I do want to trade larger size, but right now, if I could just really try to at least trade a $10 risk level, I think that could be a good step in the right direction. And that was a setup right here with AABB. I missed this regular freaking morning panic bounce rate right here. I can't believe it. I just did a normal one. And then I traded this one right here. I guess I did miss this one, but I honestly don't remember it at this point. But yeah, I had a great sell when it broke the trend line. I got out, and it did downtrend, right? But you know, it did eventually play off and get as high as 1393, almost 14, almost to VWAP. But overall, I'm pretty happy with my sell here because, you know, it looked like it was starting to break the trend line, and I need to get better at that, selling when the trend line breaks. And when I traded MULN, I did that perfectly today. And that trade with MULN was all the way back at 1016, right here, 1016, and I had my sell in this 305 level, just seeing how it tried to get to that level again in the 280s, and I wasn't able to break under it. It made a nice squeeze, and then it came back, and it looked like it was going to be a higher low, and it did get a little higher. Obviously, best case scenario would have broken past the level here and continued on, but I guess this was head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder ultimately, and that was really about it. You know, it did just show that it was not going to give up today, although maybe it will now, who knows, but it just seems like everybody with a large size, a large account, we're just all like a pack of hyenas trying to short this thing, and I'm sure it will come down eventually, but it just seems like it was too much of a gimme. Like, you know, it has a nice uptrend. First red day the other day. Now today's the downtrending day. It even, you know, looks like it's going to have a gap down, which it did. You know, it closed here, then it opened at $3. It just seems too perfect for a short setup that it was just not going to work. And that was exactly what happened. And this was a pretty impressive squeeze near the end of the day right here. And yeah, I'm sure it'll downtrend eventually. It just seemed too much like a gimme setup. Too many people, again, were just so eager to jump on it. And I just think they all jumped on it and they tripped over themselves and made a mess. And, you know, I'm sure it'll work eventually. But yeah, that's about it for today. I need to continue working on making sure I have the right amount of size so I can make more money in my trades. And of course, that means I'm going to lose more money if the setup doesn't work. But most of the setups I tend to pick at this point seem to work out. I just need to keep developing that confidence to trade the size with that thing in mind, that most of the setups I pick work more often than not, and I just have to really stick to that. Unfortunately, that is pretty tough, but at least I'm doing better on my selling. And yeah, it's just a work in progress. God willing, I'll just keep going, and that's all I have for today.